Adam Medeiros. I'm the current president of the 1776 Sons of Liberty this year. And I want to just point out that this is our mantra. This is what we believe. This is what the 1776ers stand for. We are sons. We are the sons of liberty. We are lovers of God and country, family, community, and faith. We are warriors of liberty and the seekers of truth. We are servants of this great nation and the supreme law of the land. The Constitution is our guide as we fight to restore freedom for every man, woman, and child. So that is what we believe. This is what we stand for. We meet here every Monday night, and you are welcome to join us. Today, of course, is the town hall. It will be a little bit of a different format, and I will turn it over to Larry, and he'll run the show.
Right. Craig, that's the good mic? We're good? Okay, so before we start our town hall with Ms. Sarah Hacker, I have Xavier Avila here, who's running for the 33rd Assembly District. We're going to give Xavier some time to tell us about his platform. When Xavier's done, we'll go ahead and continue with the district attorney town hall. Come on, if you give Xavier a hand, he's going to come up.
Thank you, Larry. I want to thank this group. It was last December. I called John, and they let me speak for the first time. It was very long that night. I kind of told my story, and I think it was important to tell my story because what I'm going to talk to tonight will be connected to that. So I'm not going to give your usual speech. I try not to, but because you hear them after a while, they're all the same. Okay. So first thing I want to tell you is a little bit about my campaign. I'm on Facebook, and I've been doing this thing for a while. If you follow me on Facebook, I go somewhere, and I say, where am I? And then everybody guesses. But what people really need to know what that means, it's not necessarily that particular place where I'm at. It's who I'm with. Like, where am I? And that real message is, I'm with you. When I'm in Hanford or Porterville or Corcoran, I'm with you. So when I'm really asking, where am I? The real answer is with the people. And that's important. Because let me ask you this question. Hold on, I forgot something. Something very important. I'm always doing these forums by myself. My opponent's never here. And I almost didn't get to speak because I think they tried, but they couldn't get my opponent. So I got to do something. This is a tradition now. That represents, you guys know what that represents. Because let me tell you, this is the problem. When they won't show up for you, how are they going to speak for you in Sacramento? Let me ask you, how many of you are upset at the state of California? How many of you are upset with high food prices, high gas prices, high housing, you name it, bad roads? I was in North Carolina for a wedding, my niece's wedding. I couldn't believe how good the roads were. Yeah, the back roads where hardly anybody goes. But why every election cycle you have all these candidates and they say everything they're going to do and they get elected? Are they doing it? Why? But who votes for them? The machine. So this is what I've learned, and I already knew this. You heard my story about the Tulare Hospital. When a corrupt board, well, some good people there, but one corrupt board member convinced 4 good people to hire a guy to manage a hospital that never managed a hospital. And that corrupt board member gave money to all the local politicians. And that corrupt CEO, who's pleaded guilty to 6 felonies, gave money to. Our elected leaders did nothing. Absolutely nothing. A citizen group had to form. We took over the board. We defeated a $55 million bond. We did that. And this is important because it's exactly the message I'm telling you. I fought corruption. You heard about my story in Oregon. I fought corruption up there. This is why nothing happens, is because people lie about what they're going to do and who they are. And we vote for them, and we really don't know. You're just throwing the dice. But here's the biggest problem. It's who's funding their campaigns. And who's going to keep them in power? Because once they're there, they could tell you whatever, hey, we're fighting for you. And this is where the partisan thing comes in. Don't be fooled by the Republicans. I'm a Republican, but I see it. Because that board in Tulare that let the hospital go down, there was 4 Republicans on that board. So there's Republicans are good people, Democrats are good people, independents are good people. It's the money people get into office to line their pockets, and that's why so many politicians get into public office and leave rich. Right? So you guys know me. I've been coming here for a year. You guys know my story. I give out my cell number. People from Hanford know me. I fought corruption in Tulare. Just recently I made a video about high meat prices. McDonald's is suing the 4 biggest meat packers. Us ranchers have sued them for years. I went to Washington, D.C. 20 years ago fighting the big meat packers. They artificially keep meat prices high in the store but low to the farmer and the rancher. And why do these elected people do anything about it? Because they're in charge of the bureaucrats that are supposed to, and they just look the other way. They don't do nothing. It's these favors that these politicians do for people. And we pay the price for that. Because look, if you see all these great campaigns, we're going to do all this stuff, then why aren't they doing it? It's because they're not owned by the people, they're owned by their donors. And that's the problem. Me, I'll say this, you're either owned by the people or you're owned by your donors. You can't be both. It's one or the other. I'm owned by you guys. I want to be owned by you guys. A week from tomorrow, please consider voting for me. Thank you.
All right, Xavier, I'm sure you'll stick around for any questions, Xavier. Xavier, I'm sure you'll stick around for any questions that people may have. All right, I would like to introduce Sarah Hacker, our DA. Give her a hand, please. And the mic's all yours.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Gotta close all these windows. Okay, for those of you who have not met me or don't know me, my name is, oh, it doesn't need to go up?
We'll turn it up, don't worry.
Okay. Okay. I'll just talk really, really loud. For those of you who haven't met me or don't know me, my name is Sarah Hacker. I am the District Attorney of Kings County, and it is a pleasure to be here. I just want to thank each and every one of you for leaving the World Series games, Monday Night Football, and anything else that you got going on in your life to come here today. Because the message that I want to bring to you is an important message. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you guys know what's going on. There might be a lot of gossip, a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of statements that maybe are not true. And what I'm here for today is to put together the truth so that you have an opportunity to see what's going on in my office and then ask me questions afterwards. So first and foremost, I want to thank people in my office here today. If you look around, you'll see some of the attorneys and our law clerks, and one of them did a great job in putting together this presentation. Thank you very much, Kevin. Can we get a bow from you? We'll talk about our law clerk program later, but Kevin is our newest addition to the office, and he has come from the University of Oregon, and he is waiting his bar results, and he's been a fabulous addition. I also want to thank some of the attorneys here today that are in support of me and in support of our office. So, hi, Mike, and then hi, Alex. And also I want to say hi to Doug, who is also present in support of the office. So first and foremost, please say that this isn't going to, okay, we're just going to have to do this manually. There we go. So some of you may not know what the district attorney does. And we're an office that prosecutes all criminal cases. So you might see a lot of TV shows that display, the defense representing their client when the big bad government wants to prosecute them for some different types of crimes. And we are the attorneys on the other side. What we're doing, and we're not big bad government, we're just trying to protect you and your safety. So essentially what happens is the police will go out, they'll investigate a crime, they'll run a report, and then they'll submit the report to our office. And at that point, we decide whether or not to file the case. If we do file the case, then we prosecute it in the Kings County Superior Court. And then after we prosecute and obtain a conviction, we attend the sentencing hearing so we can determine what is the best and appropriate sentence or outcome of the case. And then after that, if there's any appeals or any motions for resentencings or mistrials, we also represent the state in those types of hearings. Other way. So our mission is, Our mission is in pursuing integrity, equality, and fairness in the law for our community's protection. And that is reflected in 4 different goals. The first one is to protect our community. The second one is to hold criminal offenders accountable. The third one is to protect our victims and ensure that their rights are being honored. And then the last one is upholding ethical standards. And what I have to say is upholding ethical standards in our office is the absolute importance. Many of you have heard of the Bill of Rights. It's the first 10 amendments of our Constitution. The first one we all know is freedom of speech. But what you don't know is 4 of our 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights relate to protecting people's right in the criminal arena. Protections against reasonable search and seizures, due process rights, Miranda rights, protections against unfair punishments. All of those are protected by our Bill of Rights, and our office's job is also to ensure that those rights are being honored. So our office. We're not really a law office, we're not a police department, we're not a clerical place. We have 4 different types of employees that serve the needs of our community. So initially, we would have our attorneys at the top of the list here today, although everybody is equally important. But our attorneys are the ones that file the cases, go to court, prosecute the cases, and then write the motions and whatnot. Our investigators are designed to assist the attorneys in the prosecution and investigation of their cases. They may get involved and start their own investigations. They typically do that for our insurance fraud cases. But they can also assist other agencies in bigger cases like homicides. We also have advocates on staff, and these are people that work in our victim witness unit. They assist our victims, and they inform them of their rights. They assist them in explaining the court process. They go to court with them. They help them create a victim impact statement when we have our sentencings. And they also assist with getting restitution so that we can order the defendant to pay back what they've done. And lastly, we have our clerical staff, who are the most amazing group of people, and that they help us each and every day get all of the things that we need done. So essentially, the district attorney's office is the hub of our criminal justice system. As I described before, we have 8 local agencies that will come and they'll submit their reports to us, and then we decide whether or not the case is actionable, and we prosecute the case in the Kings County Superior Court. And these are the various agencies that will submit their reports to us. We have the Kings County Sheriff's Department, the Hanford Police Department, the Lemoore Police Department, the Corcoran Police Department, Avila Police Department, NCIS and their Naval Investigative Unit, since we have a naval base in our county, the Highway Patrol, and the California Department of Corrections, because we also enforce crime in the prison system. As I described before, we do a lot of different things in our office. Review cases for filing, we assist investigations, and we provide legal assistance, legal advice. We attend the courts daily and manage the calendars, and we write motions and conduct evidentiary hearings and trials. But what is the most important to our office is to properly investigate and prosecute homicide cases. So in January of 2013, when I took office at the DA's office, we had approximately 48 open homicide cases. Of those cases, 21 of them were older than 3 years, with the oldest case being from February of 2016. And I just want to impress upon you guys, a homicide case is a case typically where a defendant is facing a life term. It's important for both sides to get justice. You have a family that just lost their loved one, who may or may not have ever expected an outcome like that to happen. They're heartbroken, they're lost. This may be the first introduction to the criminal justice system that they may have ever had. And what essentially a lot of them, what they want is resolution. They want some kind of justice for the terrible wrongs that were done. On the other side of the equation, you have a defendant that's been charged with a crime where somebody can go to prison for the rest of their lives. And in the case where someone was in jail since 2016, that person had spent over 7 years in the Kings County Jail just waiting for their trial. Today we have approximately 30 open pending homicide cases. That also includes cases where 2 people might have been, so I counted it by defendant. So some of the cases may be co-defendant cases where maybe 2 people were involved in the same homicide. And none of them are older than 2019, with the exception of cases where somebody was investigated for murder, we filed charges, there's a warrant obtained, but that person fled the jurisdiction and we can't find him. I did not include that in my final calculation. We also have post-conviction cases. So unfortunately in California around 2019, 2020, the Sacramento legislature decided that we should let murderers go. It's unfortunate. So people who have been convicted of murder, who've been convicted of manslaughter, convicted of attempted homicide, they've been given an opportunity to challenge their conviction and get out of jail early. Yes, it's really unfortunate. I don't know why Sacramento decided that letting murderers out was a good idea. And so what a lot of what we've been doing also is fighting these resentencing cases, protecting our convictions. And right now we have 2 high-profile homicide cases that are back on these resentencing or appeal motions. One is Kevin Galick. This was a case where Tracy Renee Conrad was found in a kiln in the city of Hanford. And the Innocence Project has decided to take up his cause, and they're now challenging his murder conviction. We are fighting that tooth and nail. The other one is the Kevin Yoakum case, which is, 30 years old. And he was a person that went out and hired somebody to kill his parents, and he was subsequently convicted of murder. Both of these cases are back in front of the courts, and we are doing our best to fight these cases because we know that they're so important to this community. Those losses caused by the victims were so deeply ingrained that a lot of these people, even today, 30 years later, can still remember those cases. And what I'm telling you now is we're not just a law office. We don't just handle cases today. We're going back 30 years to put together a prosecution so that we can protect our community from murderers like Kevin Yoakum and Kevin Galick. So who is the DA? The DA is a constitutionally elected officer. Kings County has 3 elected officials. Myself is I'm one of them. Christy Lee is another, and then Sheriff Dave Robinson is the third. Each and every one of our positions is protected by the California Constitution, particularly Article 11, Section 1B, which provides that every county is to have an elected district attorney. So in one of the town hall meetings, there was a candidate that spoke up and said that the sheriff may be elected, but it's the Board of Supervisors that controls the budget. The district attorney may be elected, but it's the Board of Supervisors that control their budget. And what I would say is absolutely not true. Our budget is constitutionally protected. The California Constitution, Article 13, Section 35 states that public safety gets #1 priority in every county, especially in Kings County. So if anybody seems to think that they're going to control me with the budget, I will use every legal remedy to protect our community and to protect our office. Now, there was also another comment that was made regarding the budget being the same under my tenure as the prior district attorney tenure, which is simply not true. If some of you may have remembered the election, there was an issue about a civil suit that was brought by the former chief investigator, Robert Waggle. That lawsuit was pending during the election, but after the election, the lawsuit settled. And Robert Waggle was paid $1.1 million for the conduct that had occurred on county property by the former district attorney. That settlement of $1.1 million was paid to Robert Waggle, but that's not all that Kings County had to pay as a cause of this lawsuit. Our insurance rates went sky high. So, in addition to the $1.1 million, in addition to all of the attorney's fees and costs that the county had to bear, the district attorney's office is paying an increase of almost $800,000 per year based on the higher insurance costs from that lawsuit. We will have to pay those kinds of costs for 7 years. This roughly comes out to $5.5 million in extra insurance payments because of that lawsuit alone. Essentially, we're looking at almost $7 million in insurance and a settlement payment based on the misconduct of the prior district attorney. We're not done yet because there's 3 other lawsuits that are pending right now. One of which is a lawsuit where a defendant had sued the district attorney and the county because he went to trial, he was not convicted, but acquitted, and then the district attorney then refiled the case on him in violation of his double jeopardy clause. That's coming. So this number at $844,000 is likely to go up, especially if any of these other lawsuits end up coming through. So in short, no, I do not have the same budget as my predecessor did. But like any new adventure, there's always going to be challenges. And we have had challenges in my term in the first 2, 1, and 3/4 year. The main challenge is attorney staffing. So we have had a high turnover of attorneys. And in fiscal year 2023-2024, we've experienced approximately a 70% turnover rate. All of the people that have left during that period of time either left for more pay, more remote work, or both. And unfortunately, this level of turnover, it has been very difficult to deal with because we have not been able to find suitable candidates to fill those spots. Right now, the state of California has a massive shortage of attorneys. And while we might have ever asked ourselves, do we ever really need attorneys in our world? Yes, we do. Now, there are some allegations that the prior administration didn't have a turnover issue, and that's not necessarily true. The prior administration had approximately a 40% turnover for the 3 years prior to me taking office. Is it less? Yes. But with any time where you have new administration, new management, new rules, a new person at the helm, you're going to get some people that say, look, this isn't for me, I don't want to be on this team. And there's been plenty of opportunities for people to go somewhere else to earn more money, have more benefits, do more remote work, or get paid some kind of bonus. So let's talk about the shortage of attorneys here in California. This isn't a Kings County issue. Throughout the entire state of California, almost every single district attorney's office has been challenged by maintaining staffing, to the point that many of them are offering retention and hiring bonuses like never before. So for example, in Butte County, which is a county that has roughly the same population as our county and is also a very rural county, they have figured out that they are going to spend $30,000 to retain and hire attorneys. And so in Butte County, which is the same type of county as Kings County, they're offering their new attorneys $15,000 with their first pay stub and then $15,000 after they get off of probation. Kern County, the county just south to us, also offered a $15,000 bonus payable with their first pay stub. Stanislaus County is offering a $10,000 bonus, and that was payable over three payments. Kings County did have a recruitment and retaining bonus. The Board of Supervisors generously gave our attorneys a $15,000 retention bonus. However, that bonus was divvied out in a way that it never really made an impact or a difference. The $15,000 was divvied up $5,000 per year, and then in that per year, they divided that $5,000 into 26 payments. So essentially, it came out to about a tank of gas per pay period. Unfortunately, it had very little or no effect in recruiting people because they just looked at the numbers and saw that they were making less than $200 per paycheck based on this bonus. Also, these other counties were offering a higher rate of pay. So with respect to the people that are going into the profession of law, I took these stats from the State Bar website, and 10 years ago, the July bar, which is typically the bigger bar, got over 9,000 people that wanted to take the bar. And of those people that did take the bar, there was a higher percentage of those who passed the bar. Even in February, which is typically a bar that people, first-time takers don't do, and there's typically a lower pass rate, there was still a much higher rate of passing than the numbers that we see today. Today we have less than 8,000 people that are taking the bar even in July. So if you compare July 2012, which has 9,172 people taking the bar, today, in our last July bar, there was 7,911. That is over 1,000 people are not even bothering to take the bar. And of the people who are taking the bar, they are not passing at the same rate they did 10 years ago. More attorneys are leaving. So approximately 4,600 attorneys left the profession this year. Last year, there was even more attorneys leaving. There was 5,000 people that left the profession. And of the people that do leave, 43% of those people that are leaving the profession are not retiring. They're leaving because they want an alternative work schedule or a flexible lifestyle. Essentially, the attorneys are burning out. So let's do the math. We have approximately 5,600 attorneys coming into the profession, and we have 4,600 attorneys leaving the profession, which leaves about 1,000 or less attorneys coming into the profession per year. Now, that's a lot of attorneys that are joining our profession, but it is not enough to cover the work. And if you ask anybody that's a lawyer, you would know that they are working their derrieres off, and they can't find people to help them. In particular, district attorneys' offices have been particularly affected by the loss of attorneys. And here's why. One word, Sacramento. Because in their grand scheme of what the criminal justice should look like, which is 100% ridiculous. Yep, exactly. It is essentially social work. They have made so many roadblocks, red tape, and nonsense in our way for just prosecuting regular crime. And I'm gonna speak directly to race-blind filing, which is gonna start next year. So, like I described, we receive reports from outside agencies into our office, and our attorneys review those reports and determine whether or not it is appropriate to file charges. Starting January of next year, we're going to have to implement race-blind charging, which means the first time that we read a case, all of the race information in those police reports are going to have to be redacted out. So we won't know what descriptors the defendant has. We won't know what descriptors the victim has. We won't know what descriptors the witness has. We're just going to see defendant 1 ran away from the scene, and then victim 2 says that they're missing some money. We're going to have no idea what the race is going to be. Then we're going to have to make a charging decision and decide, oh, is there enough facts here to decide whether or not we're going to pursue these charges? But let's think about that. Let's say we have a case where defendant 1 hits V1 in the head, and the officer notes some bruising on their face. We're never going to know if the bruising what they're talking about is just a little bit of discoloration around the eye or black and blue all the way down the face, unless there's very detailed descriptors in the report themselves. We will not be able to see the photographs of the injuries because now we have to comply with race-blind charging. So it gets even more weird. So we review the reports, we make a filing decision. And let's say we decide to take that battery case and just charge it as a misdemeanor. After we make an initial filing decision, then the state of California says that we can look at all of the information. And then, lo and behold, we look at the photographs, we see black and blue all the way down the victim's face, and we decide, no, this needs to be a felony. Oh, don't worry, California. We'll make sure that we write a very good description about why we changed our minds. This is the type of stuff that is coming out of Sacramento. It took a regular reading through the report, making sure that we have the right information, make the charging decision, to a multi-step process that requires us to explain why we changed our mind after looking at all of the information. This is the kind of nonsense that we as the district attorney's office is now facing because we have Sacramento progressive idiots that are making decisions about how we prosecute our crimes. I'm going to give another example. The second one is the Racial Justice Act. So now, Sacramento has decided that they don't trust anybody in our system. And they've given judges the right to either overturn a conviction, to strike any enhancements that might be appropriate for the case, to reduce a felony down to a misdemeanor, because somebody might have been implicitly biased. That somebody could be the prosecutor, it could be the police officer, it could be the defense attorney, it could be the judge, the jury, a witness. And if somebody might have been implicitly biased, then the judge can decide to reduce the case down. Now, we still haven't quite figured out what implicit bias means. But I'll give you an example where the courts have found implicit bias. A defendant is driving a vehicle down a street in San Diego, and the defendant has his hood pulled over his head. He's driving his vehicle down the street, and a police car passes him by. The police officer in the car does not see the defendant's race because his hood is pulled over his head. So the police car passes, decides to turn around, look at the license plate, realizes that the registration is off, and initiates a traffic stop. The officer doesn't actually see the person's race until they pull up to the side of the vehicle. The defendant pulls down his hood, and he's an African American male. And he says, "You pulled me over because I'm black." And the officer says, "No, I didn't see what kind of race you were. You had a hood on." The appellate courts found that it was appropriate to look into whether or not the officer was racist in that situation. This is the craziness that we're dealing with in California. And when they put all of these levels and steps in between doing the right thing and protecting our community, it's going to take more attorneys. And that's why it's important to have good staffing levels. In addition, in the first year of my term, in October 2023, the Biden administration lifted the moratorium on loan payments, or student loan payments. And most attorneys who walk out of law school have, on average, approximately $130,000 in debt. And the average rate of the debt is being financed at approximately 5.2%. So people have spent, over the last 3 years, our attorneys have not had any loan payments due. Come October 2023, those new loan payments are due, and now they're paying $300 to $400 per month trying to service a loan. And granted, I mean, we all incurred loans to get our education and to be better people and to make more money. But when you're working in an environment where there's a shortage of attorneys, nearby counties are paying more and having bonuses, and now you have to pay $300 to $400 a month extra that you didn't have to pay last year, it starts to put a squeeze on our pockets. So this was the environment that we came into in 2023 regarding this shortage of attorneys, and why we had difficulty recruiting people, because our office just wasn't competing. And so we had tried a number of things to assist with the re-recruitment. So, for example, we've tried to go to the job fair at San Joaquin College of Law. We enrolled the county in a program called Military Spouses, which allows us to recruit military spouses that relocate to NAS Lemoore. We've tried LinkedIn ads, internet ads, hired recruiters, and we've developed recruitment materials such as a video for people who are interested in our office, as well as a brochure. Unfortunately, the disparity of pay just didn't work for a lot of our recruitment efforts. So the county hired a recruiter, which was Trey Pepe Smith, and they went out and they tried to recruit as many people as possible. But unfortunately, our salaries were just not competitive. And these are two quotes that I took directly out of emails that I received from Trey Pepe Smith, which was, "If we're going to attract attorneys from surrounding counties, we need a higher salary rather than a somewhat similar salary." Not only that, it's not in their nature to give up on a client or effort, but we always want to be real to ensure honesty. And the thing is that if we're going to find attorneys that staff our office, we're going to have to go outside of this county. Essentially, Kings County has 95 active attorneys in this county, and that's according to the State Bar website. We have, of our population, approximately 3 to 4% has graduate degrees. We're not going to staff our entire office with people who are local here in Kingstown County. We have to recruit from other counties, and that means we have to pay people or to entice them to come to this county. This is Kathy, an HR specialist. So when Tripepe ran out of options as far as getting more attorneys back into our office, they hired another person, Kathy, who tried to assist in our recruitment efforts. And essentially, she summed it up perfectly. There is a shortage of attorneys at this time, and COVID made some people leave the profession altogether. My review of the salary survey you shared shows your county is below median, and that makes matters even more competitive when you have other counties that pay more and are located in a more desirable area. So solutions. And this is why I really have to tip my cap off to the Board of Supervisors as well as the County Administrative Officer. Because everybody on the Board of Supervisors as well as the County Administrative Officer understood the problem and understood that we were not going to be able to compete for attorneys. And so in the last year, we have received an amazing support from our county government. First and foremost is pay increases. So essentially, we were able to increase our attorney salaries by 5% according to that memorandum of understanding. In addition to that, just 2 weeks ago, the Board of Supervisors voted to increase the cost of living allotment to 5%. So just this year, our attorneys got a 10% raise. We also implemented a 980 schedule. So last year, in an effort to recruit more staff, and I don't mean just attorneys in our office, but staff throughout the county, because throughout the county, everybody is experiencing shortages. The county implemented a 980 schedule, which let people work 9 hours Monday through Thursday, and gave people 4 hours 4 hours off on Friday. So essentially, every single weekend is a 2.5 day weekend. This was an incredibly popular program, and I have to hand it to the County Administrative Officer, Curia Martinez, for thinking of it. Additionally, we implemented a telework policy last year. So another thing that we've done to recruit attorneys and attract attorneys is allow them to work from home 2 days a week. We recently expanded that to 4 days a week so that we can recruit more attorneys. But throughout the county, most departments have an opportunity to telework 2 days a week, which is another way for the county to recruit more workers. They've also expanded the Christmas holiday, and then they introduced an assist-to-own program last year so that county workers can buy houses, and the county will assist with the down payment of their house. And then with respect to the district attorney's office, the county has given me the authority to hire anybody at any step, and then also promote with the approval of the CAO. These efforts have made a tremendous difference. So today, January 2023, when I took office, a DDA step 1 was $71,489. Today, I can hire at any step up to $99,699. Again, DDA step 1 was $83,12. That today I can hire somebody at a level 2 up to $115,000 per year. These are amazing strides that the county has made because they've seen a need for us to be able to have a well-staffed DA's office. So salary comparisons today, because of the efforts that we have made to make Kings County a better staffed county, we have been able to compete with a lot of these other counties. I chose Kern, Riverside, and Solano County as representations because in the last year and a half, we lost 4 attorneys to Kern County, we lost 3 attorneys to Riverside County, and 2 attorneys to Solano County. And while Riverside and Solano County are both counties that are far away, and they're a different group of people in that they're larger counties and more tax-funded counties, it's amazing that we have had the ability to compete with Kern County. So another issue that has come up is filing cases. So with our administration, we implemented new filing standards. One of those filing standards is that murder cases need at least 2 types of identification. We're not going to put somebody away for life based on the identification of one witness and one witness alone. Murder is just too serious of a crime, and we need to be able to have other corroborating evidence besides just one identification. Sexual assault cases also need corroborating evidence. Now, there has been some discussion about the district attorney's office not filing misdemeanor cases as quickly or as prolifically or as much as they have in the past. The reason why that occurred is because the court system used to allow us to handle misdemeanor cases at will. So there could be a 1-year turnaround for misdemeanor cases, even as late as a 2-year turnaround, which I certainly wouldn't recommend. But now the Kings County Superior Court requires us to have a misdemeanor case done in 90 days or less. So that means that that case needs, once it's filed and there's an arraignment, we have 90 days to take it to trial. So if there's any other further investigation that needs to be done, it's got to be done pronto, because we have a discovery deadline of 30 days prior to trial, which means in the best case scenario, if there's any further discovery that needs to be done, it's got to be done 60 days by arraignment. Based on those tight deadlines, we have been kicking other cases back for further investigation to ensure that this case is ready to go to trial when we file it. This has been most reflective in cases involving controlled substances, because a lot of the outside agencies have stopped presumptively testing or doing initial testing on drugs, meaning when they submit a case to our office, the officer will write a report saying, based on my training and experience, I looked at this drug and it looked like methamphetamine, which is not going to be sufficient to take a case all the way to trial and to convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt. We need something better. Now, there has been one agency in our county, the Sheriff's Department, that has an initial drug testing kit, which is it's a laser. And the benefit of having this laser is that the officer does not have to manipulate the packaging in order to test the substance. He can point the laser at the substance, and the substance will produce a light ray that can be compared to other known controlled substances. A lot of the agencies don't have this laser, and they're not going to risk officer safety by manipulating packaging when it could be fentanyl. And that is where we've been getting a lot of the differences between our misdemeanor filings. We need to have a situation or a plan to test drugs in time for us to properly prosecute it and take it to trial. So these are the statistics on filing decisions. In 2022, there was approximately 5,162 filing decisions that were made. In January to December 2023, we had 3,674, which is significantly less. I would say this, we did have a significant more turnaround of our attorneys, which did end up causing the filings to go down. But as we're building up our staff and we're developing training and whatnot, those numbers are going up. So in this year alone, and we've had 10 months this year, we're pretty much essentially at the same number, and we have 2 more months to go for filing. But enough of problems, let's talk about our successes. We have a phenomenal team, and this team is reflected in even their presence here today. I am honored to have people in my team that have come up and have shown the support, and the gratitude is overwhelming, and I just want to thank them. These attorneys and these law clerks have shown so much dedication to our county. We regularly have attorneys that will put in their time cards 11 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day of working. And I don't mean just when they have trials. I mean when they're just working. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the dedication that these attorneys feel and have towards our county, because they're willing to stay late at work. They're willing to work all of the weekends. They're willing to get up early and come to work early. Why? Because they care about you. And they care about your safety. In addition to our 14 attorneys, we have 4 law clerks and then 4 independent contractors. We initiated a law clerk program. So because of the shortage of attorneys, we decided the county had initiated a law clerk program so that people who passed the first 2 years of law school could come and work for us for a wage. And they can earn as much as $36 per hour working in our office, getting ready and learning how to be an attorney. These law clerks will go to court with us. They'll put in notes for us. They write motions for us. They sit down and interview witnesses for us. So by the time that they pass the bar and they're ready to take their first step into a courtroom as an attorney, they already know the judges, they know the defense attorneys, they know how to file a motion, they know how a case proceeds through the courts, and it's a fabulous opportunity for our law clerks to get real world experience. The other nice thing about our law clerks is they're all local. In the past, the district attorney's office has often recruited from Northern California and Southern California. And don't get me wrong, we love our Northern and Southern California attorneys in our office, but it's also nice to have a pipeline directly from the law school directly into our office of people who are local and have ties here. Our independent contractors are another huge success. We've been able to recruit independent contractors on a contract basis for part-time work. And this program has allowed us to recruit really these well-established attorneys who have been district attorneys for years. And I'd like to point out Crystal Howard. She is our independent contractor that is handling both the Gaelic as well as the Yoakum cases. She has over 15 years experience in the Napa County DA's office, and she now works from home, but she does all of the motion writing, and she prepares our attorneys for each and every one of these hearings on these resentencing cases. And because of Crystal, we have not lost a single one of these sentencing cases. And if we had just straight out employed somebody, opened up a position, we never would have gotten an attorney that was of the caliber that Crystal brings. The other thing is that these attorneys also, it's a recruiting tool. So one of our contract attorneys was somebody that used to work at Tulare County DA's office, decided to leave the workforce, and she became a contracting attorney. She started working for us, loved working for us, and decided to come full-time. And now she's a supervising deputy district attorney. So we've also had a few high-profile criminal cases that I want to share this success with. The first one is the Garrett Leva case, which is the murder of a brother and sister by the sister's former boyfriend. Both victims were stabbed to death, and we ended up getting a conviction on both murders with a special circumstance, and Mr. Leva is going to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The person who prosecuted that case is here today, Michelle Medeiros. The next case is the Diego Montoya Sosa case. This is a homicide case where the defendant had entered into the victim's house at Stratford. Him and the victim got into a fight, and the victim was shot during the altercation and was fatally injured with a bullet through the heart. After the murder, the defendant had held the victim's girlfriend and her children hostage the entire night, all of them in terrible fear, when eventually the defendant decided to leave. This case, the defendant pled to murder by use of a gun, and now he is facing 25 to life plus 10 years for the gun enhancement. Thank you. And that was prosecuted by Shannon Byrne. The Emilio Arredondo case, this was a jury trial that just occurred last month. It was a child molestation charges. The jury convicted for all charges and involving two victims that were between the ages of 6 and 8. And now they're looking at, he's looking at 30 years to life. Lastly, jail records. So I came into the office with a massive backlog of cases where cases just weren't being prosecuted effectively, as I talked about the murders earlier, which led to people being sent to jail and spent time in jail for more than 3 years. In 2023, that number was at 65. In 2024, that number dropped to 45, which means that these defendants got a resolution, for worse or for better, so that we can reach a resolution for our victims. And we hope that we continue to encourage our attorneys to effectively, efficiently, and diligently prosecute our cases. And with that, thank you.
All right, Jeff.
That's you.
How's that, Jeffrey?
All right, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. That's a lot of information, and I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Just a couple questions I had about your presentation. So we showed numbers of surrounding agencies and what they're paying. Do you know what the vacancy rate is for the surrounding agencies?
So from what I understand, Tulare County has a similar vacancy rate. Right now, they're close to 50%. The last time I spoke with the Fresno County DA, admittedly, it's been about a year since I've spoken with Ms. Metcamp, and she's at 20 to 25% vacancy, but they're all hiring.
Okay, so is a California problem more so than a Kings County problem?
Absolutely.
Is that how you feel? Okay. And then I had one other question before I pass the mic off. Is Prop 36, if that passes and we're able to go back, basically we were to pre, what's that going to do to your budget? Do you have enough funding to prosecute those cases after we kind of revert back to where we were before we stopped prosecuting?
I don't think that there's going to be a big change in the budget because we still prosecute what we call 11377s or possessions, possessions of controlled substances, possession of drug paraphernalia. But it's going to give us the opportunity to put teeth into the system. which is something that we've never had before. Prop 36 is going to give us the ability to prosecute drug possession crimes as felonies after 3 convictions. And then after the 4th conviction, that person can actually go to prison for the 5th conviction of drug possession. The other thing that it's going to do is it's also going to give weapons enhancements to possession for fentanyl, because right now fentanyl is being treated differently than other controlled substances. And so right now, if you're caught with fentanyl and a firearm, there is no enhancement for the firearm. With Prop 36 passing, there will be. In addition to that, it will also attack the theft crimes. Back in the day, we used to have Prop PC 666, which allowed us to prosecute petty theft as a felony after 3 convictions. And Prop 36 is going to give us the ability to do that too. So it's not going to change our budget. It's just going to make it so that we can actually protect you guys, because we've been tolerant for too long.
Do we have enough staff to prosecute all the new cases?
We will. We're going to be getting more staff. So we're hiring an attorney next week. And then we have another attorney in backgrounds. We have an application coming in. And then potentially we have one other attorney coming on board.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to open up the questions to the audience. Again, make sure that you have an actual question and not make a statement. And I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. Make sure that you're holding a mic if you ask a question, because we are also live streaming. Questions? All right, coming this way.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for being here. One of the things that you mentioned, I heard in there, was that laser that gives the sheriff's department the ability to test the drugs. Is there any possibility of there being something like that at the jail or whatever? So if somebody's being arrested whenever they're taking them to the jail, that they can take and be able to test that there? And since if they had that laser equipment to where the different law enforcements would be able to share it, to where it would make it, if they have something, then the police department needs to know. And then that way the different agencies are working together.
That's a brilliant question, and that's something that the sheriff has already addressed. The sheriff's department has generously allowed other agencies to use the laser so that they can presumptively test for drugs.
Very good. Next question. All right, come and see you.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for being here. This may be a better question for the sheriff, but what is happening in Hanford? The crime is just shooting up constantly. Every day we read about, and it's getting to where people don't want to be out on the street, especially at night.
I think we're all kind of scratching our heads as far as what's going on in Hanford. There's been a huge spike in violence right now. And I encourage each and every citizen to be diligent, protect yourself, carry, do what it takes to protect yourself, because you're right, it is getting very violent out there. Law enforcement has been working diligently on addressing some of the violence, particularly the shootings, the drive-bys, and we're continuing to work on the problem, and I'm thinking that we're gonna have a solution soon.
I'll be right there.
They're working on operations and in attacking or interdiction with gang violence.
Thank you, sir, for being here, and you provided a great information to the public with what you presented. But my question has, and Larry here kind of touched on, there's several propositions that we, the people, need to vote on, 10 of them, in fact, and one of the propositions is 36. Could you can you explain why we should vote yes on that and the repercussions if we don't on that issue?
So, absolutely, I'm a huge supporter of Prop 36. One, it addresses the theft that has gone rampant in Hanford. There's multiple businesses that have been that have had theft after theft after theft after that, where they don't even bother trying to go out and try and recapture their merchandise. In addition to that, it's going to address the drug situation, which, while I don't say that drugs are the sole cause of homelessness here in Hanford, it's a big part of homelessness here in Hanford. And because we don't have teeth to our drug laws, we can't force people to go into treatment. Giving the mandated treatment that comes with Prop 36 is going to change Hanford. It's going to change Kings County, because now we're going to have the leverage over people to get them into treatment. And if they don't go into treatment, then they go to prison.
I was just wondering, how much does that laser machine cost? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm
Dave?
not sure.
I have no idea.
He'll have to check the budget.
Worth every penny, though.
Yep.
All right. We'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find one on Amazon. Questions? Jeffrey?
Yeah, Sarah, you mentioned the lawsuits. You said there's like 3 that were against your predecessor.
Yes.
Have there been any since then? Have there been any filed against you since you took over?
No.
Okay.
That's a plus. Questions? Nick? All right.
This is kind of a far-reaching question, but concerning Sacramento and our illustrious politicians up there, I know they're up there all year round dreaming up more idiotic laws to pass, protecting criminals. Have you or any of your cohorts got together to try to push back against this?
Yes, and Prop 36 is exactly the way that we're pushing back. So the California District Attorneys Association wrote Prop 36 in order to finally push back. And it is amazing how positive the outcome has been. We have been able to garner support for Prop 36 in ways that we never imagined. Walmart gave us $1 million to help us advertise for Prop 36. There was a string of convenience stores down in Southern California that helped us raise money for Prop 36. We've gotten expansive support across party lines for Prop 36, including the Oakland NAACP. So yeah, we're pushing back.
Questions? All right, last call for questions. All right, Kimber, I'll give you a second question. Why not?
I'm trying to figure out how to word this into a question, okay? But I had somebody call me this morning and address to me about how a lot of the homeless locations are basically running rampant. And I know that Community Action is working hard to get the facility going over there by 10th and Hanford-Ramona Road. But the other day, David Ayers was here, and he said that there had been 3 structure fires is all that there had been in the last year, which was mind-boggling to me. Because I know that there's a lot of fires, and I know that a lot of them are created by a lot of people that are without homes, okay? The facility over there that they're taking and doing right by that hotel, he is scheduled to open up in December, January, or February. We've got to find a way to take and have that place cleaned because it looks really, really bad for our city. So I know that there's other law enforcement people in this room. Please help get that place cleaned up because it looks really, really bad on us. And I know that, you know, you can only do what you can do to prosecute, and I know that that has nothing to do with you, but can you please, here's a question, can you please talk to the other law enforcement agencies and see if they can take and do what they can to take and kind of keep us from having so many thingies, you know, so many of the homeless shelters everywhere.
I love the
Encampments,
question.
encampments.
I love the question. Yes, I can please.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, Sarah, I appreciate you coming out, and if you have a closing thought or something that you missed during your presentation, by all means, feel free to take a couple minutes and let's get that taken care of.
Well, I've already taken up most of your evening, but I just want to say thank you. Your support and the attention that you give the district attorney's office is special. And we're important to the county, and we're important to your safety. And it means the world to me that you're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this town hall. And if you made our other various town halls, we put out a lot of information and try to keep the public educated. If you missed any of our town halls, like I said, you can go back to Facebook or YouTube and watch all the town halls we did with the Board of Supervisors, the city council races, water board districts. They're all available for more information. If this meeting left you with questions, you might want to go visit some of those town halls to get some answers. Thank you for coming, and we're out.